AM 630.
As I look over my shoulder, I see that Mark Zuckerberg is in the chair again. Booster seat. He's got a bib on today, though. Kind of strange. He's got a bib. Why is he wearing a bib? He's sitting there in a booster chair. He's got a tray in front of him. He's throwing hands full of Cheerios at the members of the House. Zuckerberg is up there on Capitol Hill again today. Yesterday he was in front of the Senate, kind of a combined committee hearing. And today, he's in front of the House in a similarly combined committee hearing. The members of the Senate really didn't get to the bottom of much yesterday, I think it would be fair to say. Shall we go to some audio? Let's go to soundbite number 1. Because while Zuckerberg was up on Capitol Hill yesterday, most of the members of the Senate didn't really contribute much, I will say. However, Ted Cruz actually understood the purpose of the hearing, and that was to ask him about censoring political speech because he's a left-wing hack and all of this good stuff. It's about there being a monopoly. I think there was one question about it being a monopoly, and he's like, well, not the way I see it. And I say he doesn't see it as a monopoly, but he's not the one who gets to decide. I don't think Rockefeller or Carnegie saw themselves as running monopolies either, necessarily. However, so Ted Cruz, who is 47 years old, I just want to mention that because it becomes relevant a little bit later on, went with some serious questions for Zuckerberg yesterday on Capitol Hill and about the politics and blocking people like Diamond and Silk because they're a menace to Western civilization. Ted Cruz yesterday to Zuckerberg.
Mr. Zuckerberg, I will say there are a great many Americans who I think are deeply concerned that Facebook and other tech companies are engaged in a pervasive pattern of bias and political censorship.
What? No other senator latched onto this. Not one. That's not for the Democrats. They love bias and censorship. They're the left. They hate everything good, and they love everything bad. Ted Cruz.
There had been numerous instances with Facebook. In May of 2016, Gizmodo reported that Facebook had purposely and routinely suppressed conservative stories from trending news, including stories about CPAC, including stories about Mitt Romney, including stories about the Lois Lerner IRS scandal, including stories about Glenn Beck. In addition to that, Facebook has initially shut down the Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day page, has blocked a post of a Fox News reporter, has blocked over 24 Catholic pages.
They hate Catholics. The left hates Catholics because they believe in God, ancient traditions, and the left, as they have everywhere they take control, they destroy religion because they are God. As Barack Obama summed it up so aptly, I think, we are the ones we've been waiting for. See, they are their own Messiah. They have their own invisible man in the sky. It's CO2. They have prophets like Al Gore and, of course, Barack Hussein Obama II, Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton, William Ayers, Black Lives Matter, things like that. They're crazy, in short. Ted Cruz.
And most recently blocked Trump supporters Diamond and Silk's page with 1.2 million Facebook followers after determining their content and brand were, quote, unsafe to the community. To a great many Americans, that appears to be a pervasive pattern of political bias. Do you agree with that assessment?
Do you agree with that assessment? He's in his high chair. Is he in his high? Have you seen the back angle? He's in his high chair again today. Of course he is. He's not going to be in the high chair yesterday and not be in the high chair today. Don't be silly. They prepped that all ahead of time. They had to bring the booster for him. They had to go down to the Chuck E. Cheese to get a booster seat for him. And then they put that tray. They had his chair has got a snap-on tray in the front, so he can't wriggle out of it. And they gave him a box of Cheerios and a little box of Fruit Loops. And he spread them out on the tray, and he's pounding them with the palm of his hand. Zuckerberg.
Senator, let me say a few things about this. First, I understand where that concern is coming from because Facebook and the tech industry are located in Silicon Valley, which is an extremely left-leaning place. And this is actually a concern that I have and that I try to root out in the company is making sure that we don't have any bias in the work that we do.
Yeah. Well, you're doing a good job? You think you're doing a good job with that? Yeah. I don't think so. Ted Cruz.
I think it is a fair concern that that people would wonder about.
Let me ask this question. Are you aware of any ad or page that has been taken down from Planned Parenthood?
Senator, I'm not, but let me just...
How about MoveOn.org?
Sorry?
How about MoveOn.org?
I'm not specifically aware of those.
How about any Democratic candidate for office?
I'm not specifically aware. I mean, I'm not sure.
He's not sure. That means, no, they don't take down any lefty stuff. They only block and take down, like Diamond and Silk, because they're racist misogynists. They might as well be wearing the uniform of the Klan, honestly. Not honestly, but it's the rhetoric that the Democrats use, so I like to use it, too. Ted Cruz.
In your testimony, you say that you have 15 to 20,000 people working on security and content review.
Sure.
Do you know the political orientation of those 15 to 20,000 people engaged in content review?
No, Senator. We do not generally ask people about their political orientation when they're joining the company.
We just assume that they're all lefties, and if we find out later they're not, then we fire them, which they've actually done. And, Zuckerberg was, the news media is praising him because he didn't catch on fire and run out of the place screaming and die in the hallway. And that's pretty much all he had to do, apparently, to please the news media. So he pleased the news media. Now, Dickie the Turban, the Democrat senator from Illinois, who is an awful person, a terrible, awful man. And, I wouldn't want to objectify. I'll just say person. Because who knows with Democrats these days. Maybe he changed his mind this morning, and he's no longer selected from the menu of at least 58 gender options that the Democrats make available to their faithful. Dick Durbin yesterday, however, did make a salient point, and I thought it worked well.
Mr. Zuckerberg, would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
No.
Do you stay at the Trump?
If you've messaged anybody this week, would you share with us the names of the people you've messaged?
Senator, no, I would probably not choose to do that publicly here.
I think that might be what this is all about.
Wow, Dick Durbin made a point. I wonder who gave that to him. He must have a staffer with a brain that works or something, because I know that's not him. That's not the Dickie the Turban that I know. That's not Dick. No, sirree, Bob. That is definitely not him. I know that that's not him. It had to be somebody else. Mark Zuckerberg yesterday. I love these lefties, the billionaires, private airliners, Silicon Valley. They're offended by hate speech, which is anything that offends them. Pay no attention to anything that offends anybody else.
Some problems lend themselves more easily to AI solutions than others.
AI.
So, hate speech is one of the hardest, because determining if something is hate speech is very linguistically nuanced, right? You need to understand, what is a slur and whether something is hateful, not just in English, but the majority of people on Facebook use it in languages that are different across the world.
Well, that's an insult in Urdu. That should be wiped out. Really, do you wipe out insults in Urdu? And sure you do, Zuckerberg.
Hate speech, I am optimistic that over a 5 to 10 year period, we will have AI tools that can get into some of the nuances, the linguistic nuances of different types of content to be more accurate in flagging things for our systems. But today, we're just not there on that.
We're just not there. The linguistic nuances. We'll take it on a case by case.
So a lot of this is still reactive. People flag it to us. We have people look at it. We have policies to try to make it as not subjective as possible. But until we get it more automated, there's a higher error rate than I'm happy with.
Now, did any senator say, hey, Zuckerberg, define hate speech? Because I think what you just said is hateful. You're contemptuous of the Constitution, of the Bill of Rights, of freedom of speech. You don't understand the fundamentals of being an American or living in the United States of America, and that's dangerous when you're one of the world's leading oligarchs and robber barons.
This is the Chris Plante Show.
WMAL FM Woodbridge, WMAL Washington.
Let's go to soundbite number 7. Number 7. Numero siete, as the Democratic Party likes to say. This is, he's kind of a fun senator. Senator John Kennedy is his name, interestingly enough, and he's considered to be one of the big cut-ups in the Senate, which is not setting the bar too high, I suppose. He's from Louisiana. He's a Republican. He's not a Democrat. And even though his name is John Kennedy and he's a member of the Senate, it can happen. And he was talking to Mark Zuckerberg yesterday about these agreements when you got a new operating system. Oh, we're updating our this, and you agree, you consent to the terms of your relationship. You agree to their terms, right? And, Senator Kennedy put it bluntly.
Let's start with the user agreement. Here's what everybody's been trying to tell you today, and I say this gently. Your user agreement sucks. You can spot me 75 IQ points. If I can figure it out, you can figure it out. The purpose of that user agreement is to cover Facebook's rear end. It's not to inform your users about their rights.
No kidding. Is that right? Well, I heard this yesterday, and I thought it sounded familiar. This is the nugget right here.
Your user agreement sucks.
And also, that sounds familiar to me, I thought. He then walked outside of the committee hearing room, and the press was out in the hallway, and he reiterated word for word, inflection for inflection, the same statement that his user agreement sucks. Well, it reminded me of remember the movie War Games? Everything's a movie, right? Matthew Broderick and I think that was Ali Sheedy. Wasn't that Ali Sheedy? I think it was. Before going completely crazy. And the general in NORAD, they had this big computer system that was screwing everything up, right? And the general, the Air Force 4-star in charge of NORAD out there, decided he didn't like this computer system anymore. I believe it was called Whopper. And Whopper was almost causing a nuclear war.
After very careful consideration, sir, I've come to the conclusion that your new defense system sucks.
Sounds the same, doesn't it? Sounds exactly the same. I think it does, yeah. All right, and now let's go to number 8.